You ready?
I'm ready.
Alrighty, here we go. Hey folks, welcome back to The Flip Side. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is a continuation of our top 100 games of all time, the 2024 edition. This is going to be numbers 30 to 21.
Oh yeah, it's a good list.
So we've had the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
Yep.
So this is our 8th.
Yes. This is number 8.
This is number, well,
Yeah,
8,
yeah.
9, 10. Yeah, I guess so. That's something else. Math is hard.
Well, we're up to 12 confirmed crossovers of the 17.
12 confirmed?
Yeah.
We only need to get 5 more in the next 30? That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. I think we're going to hit 20
Ooh.
total. So my 17 might have been, that's still pretty
A
close.
low ball.
Low ball.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and get to it so we can see what we can see.
All right.
A newcomer to the list. I guess I should mention now I have only 4 newcomers to the list on this stretch. And I have 6 games that have been tried and true, one of which has rocketed up. But that's not this one. This is a newcomer, and it's called Loot. I prolonged it because that's how it looks
That's how it's spelled.
when it's actually spelled. They spelled it L-O-O-T. L-O-O-O-T.
Yep.
And I think they did that because on the box cover, it actually looks like a Viking longship. And the O-O-O are the shields. I think that's what, that's why.
Clever.
Clever.
Little.
All right, so everybody knows I'm a sucker for Viking-themed games. And so that's one of the reasons why. This is a new game, though, and I'm not going to say it's super light, but it's definitely a family weight Viking themed game, and I really enjoy it for that reason alone. I also like modular board setups, which is what this has. And then I also like the idea of tile placement on your own personal board that other people can't really mess with. You get to choose where you get to put everything on your list, on your board, but the cool thing is placing out your Vikings in a trail, basically, is kind of what it is. And that's where a lot of the interaction happens because more often than not, once somebody places their dude there, nobody else can place their dude there. Now, everybody has once-a-game abilities, and one of those once-a-game abilities that everybody has is to place where somebody else is placed. So you can do it, but most of the time, you can't. So if somebody goes there and you've already used your thing, then you're stuck. And that might be a place where you really need to go. Tough. Find some other way to get somewhere else that'll give you the same thing. That's basically how this game goes. And it's not long. It's a very fast game. I really like a lot of it. And it's got a cool theme on it. It's got a pretty cool table presence. Not fantastic,
Sure.
but it looks fun. And that's what I like. So that's my number 30, Loot.
Very fun. Shaped like a boat. I didn't know that. All right. Well, for me, I have one new one on this list.
Ooh.
The rest are
Only one.
only one.
It's like you've done this before.
I'm running out of new spots to fit into. But my number 30 is a fantastic game that was my number 40 last year. This is a game I love very much. It just came out with an expansion that we have played, which is amazing, and this is Aquatica.
Ooh.
In Aquatica, you have a hand of characters, and you're playing down those characters, and they have all kinds of abilities. You're either conquering or buying underwater lands, which slot into your board. You're also getting new characters with the new expansion. You're getting these reefs that go along with those new characters that can upgrade your land spots, which are really cool. This game is combo-tastic in the way that you play a card, you burn some stuff off of each of these lands, you do all kinds of things to collect enough resources to get the thing that you want.
Right.
And your end goal, there's goals that everybody's trying to do. In fact, if you have the first expansion, it changes those goals. It turns them into these clan goals, which are a little bit different. But both goal ways are really cool to play with. But your goal is to get those lands. They all have benefits on them. Sometimes multiple benefits, sometimes only one or two. There's a whole bunch of different things they do, but you're trying to get all of those benefits spent so then you can score that land card. Your lands are worth nothing until you get them scored, which is one of the actions that you can do. And this is one of those games where as you play down the cards in your hand, sooner or later you're going to play the Matrona and you're going to get all of your cool characters back in your hand and you're going to keep on going. So this is just an amazing game, gorgeous art,
absolutely,
super fun. So that's my number 30.
Very good game.
Aquatica.
Very good game. One of the two, I misspoke earlier. There's actually two that rocketed up the list this
nice.
time. But again, I think that's because this one is so easy to get to the table in almost any type of circumstance, whether you're talking about new gamers or seasoned gamers. It was my number 91 last year. It was new to the list last year because it was a new game last year.
Nice.
But that is called Valbara. Valbara is such a cool set collection game, but it also has the added benefit that you all have the same deck that you start the game with. And but what characters come up into your hand is different from round to round because you shuffle your deck and you draw, I believe it's 3 cards, and that's the 3 cards you start with, which might be different than the ones that he started with. And they all do the same thing, but when you play them is the determining factor on whether or not you're going to be able to use them to their full effect. So they fire off in numerical order, and they all have a special ability, but what they're basically doing is allowing you to choose a certain land card that you're going to add to your tableau. And you're going to be scoring points as the game goes on. Most set collection, you kind of score all your points at the end of the game after you see how many of what sets you've collected. But this one scores as you go along, which is one of the cooler things about it. But it plays really fast. It's just a deck of cards that you're playing with, and it's got really nice artwork as well. Studio H really knocked it out of the park with this one. So that is my number 29, rocketed up from 91 last year, Valbara.
Yeah, Valbara is a really nice game.
Yes,
really nice game. All right, my number 29 has boats in it, ships in it, I should say.
Boats?
But they're not Viking ships because they're in the Caribbean.
Sad face.
Sad face. Wrong ones. This is from Alexander Pfister, and this is Maracaibo. This is my 29 this year. It was my 27 last year. So
well, there you go. He hates
sticking.
it now.
Yeah, it's sticking.
Maracaibo
is the game board plays in a rondel. You're going around the Caribbean each year or each, it's not an era, I think it's each year. But you're going around this rondel and there's a whole bunch of spots. The interesting thing is once somebody gets to the end, everybody finishes their turns and they're done and everybody starts again at the beginning. So somebody could still be halfway through and they lose the opportunity to get to the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
But every time you move, you can move 1 to 7 spaces, and depending on how far you move, you get to do more actions wherever you land. So you're skipping a bunch of stuff, but you get to do more actions where you're at.
That's cool.
And those actions are, you are helping the Spanish and the British and the French fleets. You're helping them with their influence in the region. You're picking up and selling goods at cities. You're adding assistance to places, which is really cool because your first time through, the actions are basic, but you can add assistance there. So when you stop there again, your assistant now gives you a cooler action
Bumps
to do.
it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
And different actions to do. Like if you put a blacksmith there, then he does something specific for you.
Yeah.
And all of the assistants have different jobs. So it's really cool. This game is a beautiful board. It's very thinky. It's very tactical. That's Maracaibo in a nutshell, but I really love this game.
I haven't been able to play it, but everything that you've said about it is really interesting. I love those rondel games. I love that action selection system. of being able to go as far as you want, but you're skipping stuff if you want. Yeah.
It's pretty scary when somebody takes off running.
Exactly.
Like, no, I want to do this. I need at least 6 turns right now.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's my number 29.
Very cool. My number 28 is new to the list, and this is a really cool theme. I really am starting to see how nature themes are probably closer to home for me than I originally thought they were, because a lot of them speak out to me. I love games like Cascadia and that kind of stuff, but this one is a little bit off of that beaten path. It's called Bonsai. Bonsai is really neat. It harkens back. I know I'm an American and I'm stupid, but it harkens back to Karate Kid. I'm just going to be honest with you. Karate Kid with Mr. Miyagi showing Daniel-san how to make those bonsai trees and curate them and take care of them. Off. No wax involved. That was something else. But that's where it harkens back to. That's where I was like, man, those things look cool.
They do look
it's
cool.
Such an art form, and it's such a tradition. I really enjoy it. The designers of this game are super into that whole art process of curating bonsai trees, and
crazy. It
fostered a desire to create a game over it or about it. Really enjoy it. Basically, all you're doing is you are curating or building rather with tile placement, little hex tiles. You're building your bonsai tree, and you have little wood tiles and leaf tiles and flower tiles and fruit tiles, and they all score differently. And you're trying to curate your bonsai tree to score the most points by the end of the game. It's a really fun, easy, light, beautiful looking game. Also has a pretty cool solo mode as well. It's basically just do the best you can, see how many points you can score, and if you've scored enough points, will you reach this level? That's all the solo mode really is, but it does give you a good basis for learning how to play the game, which is what I usually like solo modes for. But this is a great little game. I love it. It's new to the list this year, however. Number 28, Bonsai.
That's a big jump. Those things are definitely a labor of love.
Yes.
My bonsai tree would look like a sagebrush. My number 28, I'm going to say, is a spiritual crossover because I need some crossovers, or I could delete a couple if I want to hit my 17. I think we already had one spiritual crossover, so maybe I could delete that one out.
Yeah.
But this is
hear this one. What is it?
My stand-in for a large group of games now. There's more and more of them continually to come, but this is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. This is my favorite version of Pandemic. Season 1 was the
best one.
Was the peak. Not that the others have fallen off, but it was definitely it's the top, right? Yep. As far as like the normal games, I love The Fall of Rome. I think that's my favorite. And then behind The Fall of Rome is probably either The Wrath of the Lich King or the Star Wars one of those two. Cool. And I'd play either, whatever. I like all three of those.
Yeah.
It is hard to go back to base game Pandemic after all these other pandemics.
It's super hard.
Yeah. Which makes me sad sometimes.
Yeah,
Mel and I have had like conversations about how unfortunate that is, that we used to play it so much, and now it's hard to get back to. But regardless, that's my number 28, Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Just a game I love.
That's a good one. A good one. My number 27 is another newcomer to the list. It is not the first time that I played the game. However, I've played it a lot since we made the last list. And because one of the only times I had ever played the game before the last year's list was made, it was in still prototype form. The finished product has now come out. We've played it a bunch of times, and I think it definitely belongs on the list now. This was number 27 is a little game called Last Light.
Oh.
Last Light is
not that little.
Great. Well, it's little in comparison to the other games that are in its category. 4X games are usually large, bloating, epic games that take hours upon hours to play. This one scratches all of those itches in a much more streamlined, compact, and versatile way, and that's why it's rocketed up so high. I have the ability to play this game infinitely more than I have most of the other games in that category. And that's one of the reasons why it's so up. And it packs all the same punches, just in a little bit of a lighter way that a 4X game does. So it's just a great little game. I really enjoy it. The designer's a great dude as well, but that's neither here nor there as far as how much I like the game. It's just an added bonus. But that's my number 27, Last Light.
Nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful design, and it's a super fun game.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Right on. My number 27 was my 24 last year, so it's still sticking in this location. Kind of boring, maybe. That's where it belongs. That's okay, I don't mind. My number 27 is from James Wilson and Starling Games, and this is Everdell. In Everdell, you are creating your own little creature community, a tableau of 15 cards, and within those cards, you might be placing down, building like a clock tower or a library and a librarian, or you might be placing all these different buildings and animals of what you're doing. This is a worker placement game where you start at the very beginning of the game with only a couple of workers, and you literally think there's no way I'm going to get 15 cards on the table at the very beginning because the first rounds go by so fast. Yeah. And then by the end, of course, you're trying to figure out how to cram those last couple cards in that won't fit. So it has a great ramp up. But in this game, there are cards, there are forest cards that come out at the beginning of every game that are different and random, which give you end-game scoring, things to go for. You're trying to look for certain combinations of critters and buildings inside your place. There are also some more basic, more general, quests or achievements that you want to do. You want to be the first one to get a bunch of this type of symbol or whatever else. But that's what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to create this cool little tableau, this cool little town.
Yeah.
It can also create new worker placement spots for you or for others within your town, which is really neat. But I just really love Everdell. It's got cute little bits. It's got a little tree. And a million and one meeples now.
I would love to talk about it, but I've never played it.
Yeah, it's so good.
So, but yeah, everybody just shouts its praises. So, very cool. My number 26 was number 13 last year. So, a little bit of slippage. I can't really quantify exactly why it fell down a little bit, but it's really not that big of a slip compared to other things that have. But this one is a little pirate-themed racing game called Jamaica. I think, some of the people that I've taught it to in the recent past have talked about how they like the game, they like how it works and all of that kind of stuff, but it's just not something that I think that they would come back to. And I think one of the reasons that I am continuing to come back to it is because I'm teaching it to new people.
That's actually pretty viable statement, actually,
right.
Is the replayability of it.
Sure. So I'm like, well, and so maybe part of that slipping is the fact that, well, if I weren't teaching it to new people, maybe I wouldn't be coming back to it as much. But it's still in my top 30. People. Yeah. So I really still like the game. It's a beautiful game, has great artwork, has great little components. Really enjoy the game a lot. It's just that it has slipped a little bit, but I don't think it's anything to really bat an eye at. I really do enjoy this game. It's my number 26. It did slip from 13 though, Jamaica.
Fair. Right on. Well, my number 26 slipped from 16. And it makes me feel bad looking at this game and seeing it drop that low. Drop that low. It's not that low. It's still way up there. But it did drop from 16, which is kind of a surprise for me. But this is Friedman Freeze, and this is Power Grid. I love... we talked about Amun-Re earlier on maybe last list or the list before, which really rocketed up. I love an economic game where your money is spent in multiple phases throughout a round. So you've got to figure out how much you want to spend in the auction. Yeah. You got to figure out how much fuel do you want to buy, and the more the fuel gets bought up, the higher the prices of that fuel become. So if everybody's buying coal, coal becomes very expensive, or whatever else, and you might want to try to get a garbage thing or an oil factory or whatever else. And then you have to decide how many or where you're going to place your power plants out on the map, and you're going to have to connect those power plants together. And there's cost to each location, and there's cost to it costs more to put the second power plant in the same city as somebody else already has a power plant. So all of those decisions, you're really balancing your money continuously. It also has a really fantastic turn order sequencing based on who has the most power plants on the board, is bases who gets to bid first and who gets to buy first. And those are opposite, right? So if you have the most on the board, you get to buy last. So, but you get a bid first and all these kind of things. So the turn order sequence is very cool in this game. Yeah. I just love this game a ton. So
you want to be really sad? You were sad about this being your number 26. 160.
160 for you?
Fell off my list.
Yeah, well, you lost your mind. That's what I say. You lost your mind. It's gone.
Speaking of light games, my number 25 rocketed up from 98 last year. And it's because I've simply played it more, and I've seen other people playing it and having a blast playing it. And they have a new expansion came out, and I went all in on the new stuff, and I'm actually going to give away my retail version. But this is called Thunder Road Vendetta. Such a fun game. Oh, it's so simple. It's so easy, if I can use that word. Comparatively speaking to all of the other games that are out there, this is literally roll some dice, move your truck or your semi or your motorcycles or whatever they are, and just try to get to the end first. Just try to survive to the end first. That's basically all you're doing. And it is such a fun time. Normally you really are like trying to elbow your way past and all this other stuff, and you're really trying to win. Most of the fun on this game is often derived from watching your stuff blow up.
Blowing up.
And how it actually plays out.
Falling off the wall, running the cliffs.
Oh my gosh. Such a fun game. I really enjoy this. This one, I cannot wait for Carnival of Chaos to get here.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been thinking about buying this game.
Yep.
Every once in a while I think about picking it up.
Yep.
I'm going to borrow this from you next week if I can.
Yep, I think so. That is my number 25. Rocketed up from 98, Thunder Road Vendetta.
Yeah, what a cool game. I need to play it more. I need to probably buy it. But my number 25. Oh my gosh, here you go. Now he's really going to get on me. My number 25 was my number 25 last year. I don't know how that happened.
Just stayed put.
It just stayed put.
No
matter what happened. Yeah, my number 20. All right, this is a Fantasy Flight game, and this is Marvel Champions.
Ooh.
In Marvel Champions, you take whatever superhero you want, you mix it with a deck of cards, whether it be a protection deck or if you want to be a leadership type of character or whatever else, and you join your buddies and you go out and you fight the big bad. And they have a deck of cards as well that you have to go through. They have minions that attack you. They have, all kinds of dastardly things like. Rhino supercharges, and Thanos, fires up his gauntlet with all of his, Infinity Stones on it, whatever else. So this is just a really fun game. There's got X-Men ones out. They got X-Force. They got all kinds of, there's Sentinels now. There's all kinds of cool things to fight against.
I used to collect X-Force.
Yeah, X-Force is cool, man.
I had one through, I don't know.
Yeah, X-Force is cool. But I love Marvel Champions. I love all the characters. Shoot, I almost love collecting it as much as I love playing it. I probably love collecting it more than I love playing it, actually.
That's probably true.
But anyways, that's my number 25.
Sometimes. All right, that's a good pick. All right, my number 24 is a newcomer to the list, and it just rocketed up there. And part of the reason for this is component quality. A buddy of ours, Doug, taught us how to play one time, at one of our, me and Jess, one of our gaming nights. And immediately the next day I tried to purchase it. And I did purchase it. I own it now. This one's called Trekking Through History.
Yes,
first of all, history is a great theme for me. I love games that are about history. This one is really a neat one because it's all about you traveling back through history to visit all of these different places that you want to go check out. You know, like going back to the Parthenon, or going back to this event in history, whatever it might be. There's so many out there, but the drafting, the open draft, is really what makes it cool for me. And then time management. So you only have a certain number of time points that you can spend before you're basically done for the round, and then everybody else has to finish as well. And that's another cool thing about it. You get bonuses if you use exactly 12 time units and all of this kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the component value of the game. It's got a great storage system within the box as well. And the artwork is also really cool. On the back of each of the cards, another little kind of pinpoint of cool factor for me. On the back of every single card, it explains what that time in history was all about, what that event was about, and every single card has that. Just a super cool game. The scoring system is also really fun because you're getting all of these little tokens that you're putting down in certain patterns on your player board, and once you're able to fill in certain rows, you score a truckload of points. Well, not a truckload, but a lot of points.
Yeah.
And you can do that multiple time on everything. Then you switch out that card for somebody for a different one in the next stage. It's just a really fun game. I really enjoy this one a lot. It's number 24, newcomer to the list, Trekking Through History.
I like that card, and I like the the pattern building that you're doing on those things.
Right.
And I like the chronological order that you have to work in.
Yes.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good game. So right on. All right, my number 24. People are like, "What are you doing?" My number 24 was my 22 last year. I hate it.
I hate it.
It's a Garfield game. It sucks. No, it doesn't suck.
Yeah, you know he doesn't hate it if it's a Garfield game.
Yeah, but it was my 22 last year, so I don't know what happened to it. But this is Architects of the West Kingdom. This is probably the lightest of the Garfield games between the West Kingdom and the South Tigris, at least. It's the lightest of all of them. It's the most accessible to bring out to people and to have fun with, just because, you know, when somebody gets 20 meeples and they get to start putting them out there to get wood and all these different things, it's really quite fun to do. You are collecting workmen that are, workmen that have different symbols on them that help you build buildings, and you're all, the end goal is you're trying to build up the cathedral. In doing so, you might be building a couple of buildings in your tableau that give you a little bit of benefits or end game points or something like that. You're also collecting these townsfolk that are doing things for you, but that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. And the favorite thing that everybody loves about Architects of the West Kingdom is once a place gets juicy and gets 5 or 6 guys out there, you go out there and you round them up, put them in the holding pens, and sell them to the prison, so somebody has to go get them later. So it's quite a fun game.
Yeah,
so I really love Architects.
That's good. That's probably one of my favorite Garfield games because it's lighter than the other ones. That's probably why. There's more interaction on that one, too.
There's a ton of interaction, yes.
All right, my number 23 is the greatest comeback so far, because it was high on my list for a long time. People would mock me for bringing it up on so many different top 10 lists over and over again. And so it actually slid down to number 64 last year. But the advent of the dynamite canister, which has every single part plus a little bit extra for Bang the Dice game, has reinvigorated. I purchased that at Gen Con this year. Actually took it to a Dice Tower event at a local game shop and got to play it, and it has just been like, I remember now. I get it. I remember. Bang the Dice game is such a cool hidden role game where one person is going to be the sheriff. He's not hidden, or she is not hidden. Everybody else's role is hidden, though. You've got a bunch of outlaws, you got a couple deputies, and you have a renegade that's out there. The renegade is trying to be the last person standing against the sheriff and then kill the sheriff. The outlaws are trying to just kill the sheriff. The deputies are trying to protect the sheriff and kill the outlaws because the deputies win if the sheriff wins. And so all you're really doing is you're rolling your dice, and your dice can give you the ability to shoot at certain distances.
Random people and hoping it's not your friends.
It's random at the beginning. That's absolutely true, but it becomes less and less random as things go on.
Sure.
It is such a fun game. Everybody has their own special ability that they can do, and it's very, very fast.
Very quick. Yep.
I really enjoyed Bang the card game because that came out first. But once Bang the dice game came out, gives you the same feel in a fraction of the time that it takes to play the card game. So I think it basically killed the card game for me. But I really do enjoy this game. Was 64 last year, 23 this year. Bang the dice game.
For any of you that thought, what happened to Sam? Is it really him? Now you know it's really him.
It's really me, y'all.
All right. Well, my number 23 is a big, heavy game. And by heavy, I mean weighs a ton. And that is Cloud Spire from Chip Theory Games. Oh, I guess I didn't say this. My 23 this year was my 23 last year.
Again?
Again. I don't know.
I think he just cut and pasted, y'all.
I did not cut and paste. But anyways, this is Cloud Spire. Cloud Spire
It's got 500 poker chips in it.
Yeah, it is a MOBA-style game where you set up your little base. You have these neoprene mats that make this hexagonal map between you and whoever the other base is. And you procedurally stack up all of your units that you can pay for the round. And then you watch them travel down this path and do their thing and kill each other and see what happens. But at the same time, you have heroes that you can move around and you actually get to do whatever you want with. Kind of like you were saying in Rum and Bones, right?
Yep.
You have guys that you can go do special things with. You're building towers. You're upgrading your towers. You're making them shoot farther and do more damage. Mm-hmm. You're upgrading your main characters so that they're stronger. Your base is very upgradable, and every time you get points back, you can spend them in your base to depends on your faction really, to make more things fly, to make more things stronger. It depends on what your faction really plays into. But there's a whole bunch of factions. There's a new expansion coming out called Harbinger, which I'm excited for. Yes. There's a new expansion coming out. But I really love Cloud Spire. I love the table presence. I love the thought process of that MOBA style. So that is my number 23.
That's cool. All right, my number 22 was number 6 last year.
Woo, doggy.
Number 6. And, probably lack of playtime has contributed partially, minutely. But really, remember, 130 games got thrown into the mix this year, so that's probably more to do with it. And considering that, this isn't as large of a slip as it might seem. Number 22, 6 last year, 878, Vikings, The Invasions of England. I super enjoy this game. We talked about when we were doing our thematic thing where there's a difference between thematic Vikings and Norse mythology and
sure.
as a theme. And this is one of the games that I considered for being the placeholder for that theme on my historical Viking theme category because it's such a great game that encapsulates that event in history. And one of the reasons I passed over it is because it was such a microcosmic event, comparatively speaking.
Gotcha.
But I really enjoy this. It really should be, in my opinion, played as a 2-player game. But you can play it as 4, and there is some specific design for you to play it as 4. There's 2 definite forces on both sides of the conflict that 4 different players can take control of. But it's more fun for me as a 2-player game. I really enjoy it. It's very fun, very historical, and it is number 22, 878 Vikings, The Invasions of England.
Very nice. Poor English. Poor English. All right. My number 22 is new to the list. It went from 0 to hero.
What? You made that reference. All right. Sweet.
No, mine it's new to the list. It's a Garfield game, crazy enough.
Oh,
I don't
boy.
know. I gotta stop liking Garfield games so much. I think that's a thing I gotta
Give me
out.
problems for Bang.
All right.
Garfield.
This is Scholars of the South Tigris.
Ooh,
This
boy.
is by far one of my favorite Garfield games. Obviously, it's this high already. This is a dice placement game, or you're using dice as a resource, really, but you have dice and you have meeples to place on your own player board, which are going to allow you to do, things within the South Tigris or within this game.
Yeah.
You are hiring, not scholars, you're hiring translators. Excuse me, thank you.
Linguists.
You're hiring translators, or you're hiring them for like a one-time benefit, or you can hire them to be a translator to go in a little office and do translating. You're trying to translate everything to Arabic from Persian and Chinese and from all these different languages. And to do that, you have to go through, you may have to use 2 or 3 different translators to get from one to the, to your final verdict. But you have to hire the translators. You have to go throughout the world, find new scrolls that need to be translated. You have to send them to your House of Wisdom, and then you have to translate them. There are also some tech tracks in the middle of the board, which represents your knowledge in mathematics and philosophy and all of these different things. The dice placement on your board, on your own player board, is very interesting because a lot of the actions on the board are either color specific or number specific. But you can take colors like blue and yellow to make a green action, and then with a specific number. You can also use meeples to change the color of your actions or to increase the value of your actions. There's all of these cool mechanics between your meeples and your dice as you continually play through this and try to translate these scrolls. But I really love this game. I love the flow of it. Honestly, I think that the theme of it comes through in what you're doing, and gives you a logical sense, a logical flow to the game, which I really like. So, anyways, that is my number 22, Scholars of the South Tigris.
Good game. It's just super country, super heavy for me. There's so much going on in that game. You got to move this dude around to this, and then put him over here,
to grab a gold, to do that, to do this.
So much.
Yep.
Good game, though. All right, my number 21 was number 24 last year, so it pretty much stayed in the same area. Slightly came up the ladder a little bit.
So boring.
But this one is one of the coolest resource management, maybe set collection thing that you do, because you're basically trying to amass all of the things that you need to put on your show in the Colosseum.
Oh.
And that's basically what it is. But this is really kind of a bidding auction game, because most of those resources are going to be in a pool in the middle of the table, and you're going to be able to bid on them when it becomes that phase of the game. There's a turn order that this person gets to choose what gets bid upon. And if they don't win that bid, then the person who did win the bid takes those tokens, and then they can choose something else. And they're able to continue choosing until they win something. And then when they win something, the next person gets to choose what's bid on, and so forth and so on. But all of the tokens you're bidding on are the different elements of the show that you're trying to put on. But one of the coolest things about the game is the fact that your score only increases if you put on a larger show than you did previously. Yeah. And that's really cool. Now, there are kind of archaic points of this game. It's a roll and move game. It has a roll and move mechanism in it. But the cool thing about the roll and move mechanism is that you're not really generating action points or anything like that. You're trying to get different governmental leaders, the proconsuls or the Caesar, and to come to your show in your Coliseum. And if you're able to do that, you get to score bonus points when you put on your show. That kind of stuff is really cool to me. Roll and move is kind of take it or leave it, really. Most of the time, leave it. But in this game, it really does work. So I really enjoy this game a lot. There's been a number of different editions that come out of this game. I think they're on their 3rd edition now. But I wasn't too hot on the 2nd edition, although they didn't change the game at all. They just changed the look and the components. This one, the newest one, has pretty neat looking artwork. But I have the old Days of Wonder version, and I think I'll probably just stay with it. Number 21, though, last one for me on this segment, Coliseum.
There's the name, if you didn't miss it already.
I said it. I paused. I said, in your Coliseum.
We'll see. See how many viewers.
I said it. I put the thing up there. Everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody knows. All right. Well, my number 21, the last one on this list, is my favorite trick-taking game, at least as of today, at least as of 2024, and this is Crew, the Mission Deep Sea.
Wow.
It was my 21, it was my 20 last year, so I had a very steady central section here in the 20s, it seems, but in the Crew, you're playing with whoever 3 to 5 players. You get a hand of cards. There's a very specific just like normal trick-taking game, you have several colored suits. You have these rockets, but they only go 1 through 4, and those are the trump suit. But you are trying to collectively get people to do specific things in the game based on these objective cards that are given out. Somebody might get an objective card that says they need to win 3 sevens, and you have to help them. You have to help them win 3 sevens without them telling you what's in your hand, without you telling them anything on what you have. You have to play out the game, and it's really a feel.
Yeah.
You really have to feel the game and how people are playing and everything else. You do get 1 token that allows you to give a hint or a clue, but you get 1 clue per entire hand. So when you have 3 or 4 different objectives out there, it can be very tricky. This guy needs to win the first 2 tricks, but that person needs to win this, and you're trying to make all of that happen. So I really love the Crew. I love the Crew Mission Deep Sea. That is my 21.
That's a cool one. You would think that cooperative trick-taking just wouldn't work.
Yeah,
but it does.
It really changed my mind for sure.
Yep. All right. That's our numbers 30 through 21. So come on back next week for our numbers 20 to 11, and then the week following, our top 10. We're getting close, people. Getting close indeed. Leave us a like and subscribe if you would, and let us know in the comments what you think. Let us know what some of your favorite games in comparison to the ones we've chosen for this segment are. And hit that bell icon so you can know when we have new content coming up on the channel. Thanks for being here, folks. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
See you next week.